Today we're talking about flashlights, right here on GP Outdoors. Born and raised in a city, I never really had a true appreciation for what the darkness of night really meant until I bought this property. Living in a suburban or an urban area or a city, you benefit from what a lot of people call the city glow, which is basically that illumination at night from street lights, big business buildings, the homes, and the area around. There's always that glow. But come up here in the forest, and you really get an appreciation for what blackness of night really means. It gets so dark here that you can't see your hand a foot in front of your face. That's dark. So it didn't take long for me to realize that heading over to my local hardware store and buying whatever flashlight was on sale was no longer good enough. I had to start looking at specs. Started to realize a few things are really important when you're up here on a property in the rural areas or you've got a forested area. Reliability, battery life, lumens, and how far that flashlight can shoot the light. So I was pretty happy when a company named ThruNite contacted me a while back, asked me if I wanted to test out one or more of their flashlights on the channel. What they didn't know is I'd already bought one of their flashlights, and I liked it a lot, but it was time to try out a second one. I had previously purchased one of their models called a TC20. It's a much smaller light, gave out about 1,000 lumens at high beam, but it only lasted about an hour and 10 minutes. But it's a great little light. So this time I took a closer look at the specs, and I asked them to send me their TC20. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about flashlights, the specs on this model, and I'm going to show you the difference between different lights with different lumens, so that you can see the difference. I hope you'll stick around. Let me take a minute, let you know what comes with the light, and then I'm going to run through the specs for you. It's going to come with a holster. It also will come with a couple of spare O-rings to maintain water tightness. It has a lanyard. It's going to come with a lithium battery. It comes with its USB charging cord, a couple of spare USB caps in case you lose one, as well as a spare side switch cap. The light itself, the body of it is made with a premium hard anodized aluminum, so it's got a good, strong finish. And it's pretty weighty in the hand. It weighs about 148 grams, which is about 1/5 of a pound, maybe a little less. It has 6 different light modes, which is pretty handy, especially if you're out in the forest or outdoors or camping, or you're working in a remote area. It has a strobe function, which will strobe at 2,280 lumens. It also has a firefly mode, which is, your night mode if you're in a tent or if you're out and you're just trying to read either a map or any type of a piece of paper. It has a low, medium, and a high mode, and it also comes with what they call a turbo mode. Your turbo is going to give out up to 3,800 lumens, and it's able to maintain it for just over 2 hours. On high, you're going to get 1,800 lumens out of this light, and you're going to be able to run it at high for about 2.5 hours. Medium, you're getting about 320 lumens, and it'll run for about 10 hours. And on low, it's 38 lumens, so it's a pretty low light, but it'll literally run for almost 2 full days. Battery life I've tested over the last month. The specs that I've just read back to you are all pretty valid. I got right in and around those times, and I tested this light dozens of times over the last month, recharging and testing on different modes. And I want to tell you a little bit about those results in just a minute. One of the nice things about this light, not only does it have a really bright shine, but it shines a long way. This light on turbo or high will go as far as 320 meters. And when you're out in a forest or you're in a very rural area, getting that distance, especially with that bright a beam, I think is a real benefit over any of the other lights I've ever owned. And it's also waterproof up to 2 meters. So after a grueling month of testing, I want to tell you what I actually found as results when I tested through this light over the last month and a bit. Your run times were generally consistent with what the specs tell you they are, which is great. But a few things you need to be mindful of. It's got a good sized big battery in it, and it's going to take about 7 to 9 hours to charge that battery. So you have to keep that in mind. No need to go to the store and buy any more alkaline batteries. Having a lithium rechargeable battery is definitely the way to go, especially up here when sometimes this light's going to sit in my utility room for weeks before I use it again. What I did find noteworthy though from my testing, your turbo mode, you can only run for 10 minutes according to the specs, and I can assure you that by the end of that 10 minutes, the light's getting very, very hot. In fact, the lamp on that light becomes so uncomfortably hot, it's almost burning hot. When you run it on low, no heat at all, totally comfortable to touch. Medium, no heat at all. Medium you can use all day long. When you put it on high, similar thing to turbo. When you've got it on high mode, even though it'll last for about 2.5 hours, when you get up to about the 4 to 5 minute mark, you start to feel that the headlamp is starting to get warm. And after about 7 to 8 minutes, it's getting very hot. And after about 10 minutes, you can hold it. It's uncomfortable to touch though. However, the main body of it, which is where you're normally holding anyways, will get warm, but not so hot or uncomfortable that you can't keep holding it. Another thing that I found that I think could be improved on this light, you'll see that the light comes with a charge indicator. In fact, it's built right into the switch. Right now you'll see that it's blue. That blue indicator tells you that you have anywhere between 20% and 100% charge. That's a big range. Once you drop below 21% or 20%, it'll turn to a flashing red light to tell you that you're soon to run out of battery, and then the light will become red, telling you that you're just about out. And I believe that's when the charge falls below 10%. The challenge is that each time I tested it through, you've got a big range on that blue indicator. Once it turned to a flashing red light, within 2 minutes, the battery was dead, every time. So your time, or the reference for how much charge you have in the battery or in the light, is very difficult to judge. And if you're out in the forest or you're out using it at night, you have no idea where you are between 20 and 100% on the charge. And when it starts to flash, within 2 minutes, the battery's dead and you're out of light. And when you're in the darkness, that could be a problem. So that's one thing I'd recommend they improve, and something you need to be mindful of. And there are a number of different flashlights on the market, whether they're tactical, work lights, pen lights, different types of smaller lights with large output, such as that TC15 I had before. And the TC20, similarly, is categorized as what they call an everyday carry flashlight. Comes with the pouch for your belt. Personally though, I don't think I would carry this every day. The old TC15 was small, it was probably about the size of my blade, so it sat nicely. Didn't even know it was there after a while. This guy is a little heavier and a little bulkier than I'd want sitting on the side of my hip all day long. But at the end of the day, if you're working before sunrise in the dark, or this time of year, as you know, the days are getting shorter, you're often working into the night, that would be the time that I'd strap this on the side of my belt and keep it with me. Lots of battery life, great output. So I could just keep talking about flashlights and lumens and all those good things, or maybe I could just show you. We're going to head off into the forest, and just as a comparator, I'm going to bring out my BTR work light. It's 500 lumens. I'm also going to bring out my regular alkaline battery flashlight I've had for years. It's 200 lumens. And then we're going to test them against this ThruNite TC20 so that you can actually see the difference in the forest. We'll wait for nightfall and I'll meet you back here. First light I'm going to use is my old hardware on sale special 200 lumen light. Let's point it out at the lake. See if you folks can see it. I can just barely see my boat at the dock, and I'm sitting just outside the front of the cottage. Okay. Next, we're going to try my work light at 500 lumens. There we go. That's going to give us a little more. Still, by the time we get to the dock and the boat, I'm not sure if you can see it there in the lens, but hopefully you're able to see at least the big bush there just before the shoreline. There's high. And now we want to set it to turbo, which is up to 3,800 lumens. Now there's brightness, and that's the difference. Okay, let's jump on the ATV. Let's head off deep into the forest and see how these lights perform. All right, we're sitting out in the forest down one of my new trails that I built this summer. Let's try out the old hardware special at 200 lumens. Now we've got our 500 lumen work light. Much broader flood-like effect, but goes generally the same distance, a little bit more, because I can see the end almost to the corner where it takes that 90-degree turn to the east. Now let's test out that TC20. On high. TC20 on turbo. And an important feature that comes with the TC20, as well as a number of other ThruNite flashlights or torches, is the strobe mode. If you get into trouble out in the forest, you've got 3 hours of strobe mode at 2,280 lumens. But hey, I hope that's helped provide a little bit of insight onto why lumens are really important. Lithium battery for sure, with long rechargeable longevity, and a reflector that will give you distance when you're working out on your property at night. I wanted to thank the folks at ThruNite for sending me this TC20. I like it a lot. As I said, they call it an everyday carry. This is not something I'm going to throw on my belt or the side of my belt all day long, but definitely a great light to take out when I'm working past daylight hours. Thanks for sticking around. I hope it's been helpful, or the information has been helpful. There's going to be some links in the description on this video. They are not affiliate links, but if you want to check into ThruNite a little bit further, check those links out in the description of the video. It's getting chilly. I'm heading in. Gonna warm up by the fire. Thanks for sticking around. If you like the channel, please click subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to know when I'm posting videos, just click that little bell. Have a wonderful week with your families. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you again right here on GP Outdoors. Cheers.